The next speaker for this session, a completely different speaker, right? So I got a chance to visit him at his field in the work. And I realized what phenomenal job is being done every single day. For those of you who do not know, Edgar Jones Paul joined the Indian Airlines in Chennai in 1980 and voluntarily retired in 2003 in order to build a public charitable trust named Little Drops. Since its inception, Little Drops has had the honor of rescuing and rehabilitating over 9,000 abandoned elderly people from the streets. Phenomenal work, phenomenal person. Such an honor to have Mr. Edgar Jones here.
And just a few words. So we met Uncle during lunch, and Uncle was like, I'm feeling so nervous, I'm feeling so stressed. When I come on stage, can I look at the screen and talk? It'll be a little easier for me. So, guys, let's encourage Uncle and give him our full attention. And, Uncle, we got your back fully, Uncle. So, all yours.
Normally, it's the wife who wants support from the husband, but I'm a very loving husband, so I called my wife over to support me this afternoon. I've never been in a situation like this, and the only time I've spoken is when I've had to raise funds for Little Drops. It's always a small crowd, 20, 30 people at best. So today, in the course of this talk, if I seek donations, please pardon me, because it comes as a matter of habit. And to tell you about my life, I was born in a Christian family. I have a very happy family at that. We were 7 of us children. But suddenly, tragedy struck. I lost my father. And a happy family became a family plunged into sorrow, pain. I remember my mother on her knees, sobbing, crying, didn't know how to bring up these 7 children. And she was lost. We were all around her, helpless. The youngest daughter was in LKG, the eldest son was in 11th standard. And my mother didn't know where to go, who to ask help for. And we led life, meaningless, helpless. Relatives stopped visiting us, friends didn't find it purposeful to visit us. I used to walk to school. Finance was a big issue. I used to walk to school 5 kilometers and come back walking 5 kilometers without lunch, hungry. I used to be very angry, like one of the speakers said a little while ago, very angry with God. What hurt most was the disparity. I studied in a school with a lot of rich children. They came in cars, their fathers were somebody. And here I was with very often shorts without buttons, the flap tucked, and shirt had to be with safety pins because it used to have so many torn patches. Life went on, and I finished my schooling. I did fairly well in school, but I couldn't go to college because the requirement was a job because mommy had to feed 7 of us. And I remember her serving us. It mostly used to be kanji. Yesterday, the game that we had, one question was, what's your favorite food? I had to confess it was kanji. And I still love it today. And mommy would have barely anything to eat. So life went on, and I joined a polytechnic. And at the polytechnic, one of my friends, close friends, forced me into EU camp. I went there very reluctantly, but something beautiful happened. The speaker, Mr. Raja Tyagaraj, I don't know how many of you know him, he gave a call, altar call. I accepted Christ. And suddenly, this life which looked hopeless, or just carrying on the day-to-day mundane duty, and suddenly things looked up, and I had a purpose. And the days I didn't know Christ, I used to ask God a number of questions. one question was, why me? Why was I born? Another question, which I'll never forget, is what is my worth after all? Lonely, walking most of the time, no food. What is the purpose? Well, how much am I worth? And I'm sure many of you here have asked that question. In a crisis, what is my worth? And I found the answer, and I gave my life to Christ. And He said, "You can stand in the gap." And I gave my life to Christ, and that's how we started Little Drops. In 1991, along with a childhood friend of mine, his name is Selvaraj Bovas, from a middle class family, is the finest Christian I met. I met him in 78, and we are friends now, 44 years. You must meet him. Is Mother Teresa of modern times. He can sit with a bedridden man who can hardly speak for hours. He can clean them up. He can dress the wound with maggots, and he'll perfectly be at peace. And so the journey began in 1991. We started off with a prayer like all of us do. And this prayer, we sent out quite a few invitations, and we realized only very few people were going to make it. And so what happened was finally 7 or 8 of us, the grass was just barely cleaned up to have the prayer. And the prayer started, and I think it lasted for about half an hour, 1 hour. We wound up, didn't know what next. Then Boaz came forward, my co-founder, he came forward to donate a small piece of land, about 1,800 square feet. Today, the value is about 1 crore. He came forward, he's from a middle class family, and he said, we can use it for the home. And we put up the first building in 1993. It was extremely difficult. I used to go after night duty. I incidentally forgot, I got married in between to my wife, and I joined. We met at the airport. We were working together, and we met at the airport, and we got married. And so after night duty, I used to go on my Spark. It's a 50cc vehicle, to different offices, collect small amounts. I used to ask for bricks, for cement, for steel rods. I'm doing it even today. And that's how the home came about. We took 3 inmates in 1993, and from then we not looked back. What we're going to show you could be very, very disturbing, but that's the truth that we should know. I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to go to old age homes or destitute homes. It's sometimes very, very painful. We spend sleepless nights because of the rescue we do. And we had the pleasure of rescuing people from very same situation, and people like who are not about to commit suicide or about to suffer accidents. And this lady, as you can see, didn't have enough cover, so she found herself in a concrete pipe. And this lady, we do not know how, but she seems to have suffered an acid injury. I don't know whether she poured it on herself or somebody poured. She didn't live very long. She died in about 3 days. And mentally ill women, we would have all seen them. Scenes like this are very common. And people with diabetic foot, these are some of the reasons why they're discarded. They're thrown out, and they just wait for death on the road. The lady on the right with a red nightie, it was unbelievable, the sight when we picked her up in front of KMC Hospital. She had finished her amputation of the right leg because of diabetes, and there's no attendant with her. So she was thrown out of the hospital. We rescued her, and she lived on for about 3 months. And this is some of the projects to help from different people, friends and well-wishers. After we started homes like this, we went on to have other projects for the physically challenged, for the mentally challenged, and another project which is very dear to us, the family rehab. This started because there's one widow who came with a little child asking for help, and we turned her away, saying that ours is the old age home, we can't do it. 2 days later, we got the news that she committed suicide jumping into a well. So that's when we started this family rehab unit. And these women who are depending on the education uh, are given employment. We open a bank account and put salary into the banks. And the children are sent to the school, which we subsequently started. We have about 1,000 children from very, very poor backgrounds. So a lot of emphasis. My wife has to be given credit along with one Mrs. Elizabeth George, who's the founder. And they together have been doing voluntary work. And Manipur, as you all know, is a state bordering Myanmar. It's in northeast. It's in a district called Chandil, which was said to be the most remote district in the country a couple of years ago. So this work started, and if you all have a chance, if you've gone there, I think Colonel should know. Northeast is the most pitiable the states in Northeast. No roads, a lot of drug addicts, militancy issues, like Colonel said, and the problems are unbelievable. Hardly drinking water is something we have to walk 5-6 kilometers, and and apart from that, education is also not so great. So we started to do this home, and today we have about 50 children studying. And Africa is something maybe you all are surprised. What happened was when I was young, I used to read stories about African drought and famine and all the malnourished children. Those pictures haunted me. And so I made a commitment when I was young that somehow I must go and work in Africa. But that never happened because by then we had children. So that was playing on my mind. I felt guilty. And so we, along with our friends, 10 or 12, we were entitled to free tickets because we worked at the airport. We took our children along and went to Africa. And I happened to meet a Christian family there. And we came back again troubled. So some of us sold our gold, our land, and that's how this. We sent the money to Mr. Selvaraj, who's the person who's managing this home. So we sent him, and he made a beautiful home. Today there are 23 children. We are working hard. Corona stopped the work, and we're not able to increase the strength. God willing, we will do it in the coming years. Trash and Treasure is a unit which we had to start because with the number of NGOs sprouting, fundraising was an issue. So we are not, as you can see, no appeal whatsoever. So fundraising is very difficult. So we started this unit where we would pick up things like unused in homes, carry out minor repairs, and maybe some stitching, and put it out for sale. And this, in fact, we have 4 units like this. This helps us in a big way to meet the medical expenditure. And the purpose of is something we always keep in mind. To make Jesus' call was to make us fishers of men, and I always tell Jesus called me to make fishers of helpless men, and God's been true. And I want to introduce some of the people we met in the course of this work, people who came seeking help but have become a pillar. And one such person is Raja. He was hospitalized for nearly 1 year. He fell into the well while digging from about 20 feet. He broke his spine. He couldn't walk after that. You can see he's on his crutches. And he got well. And a little later, Deepa came in. She used to graze cows in Madurai. And she came in because of poverty. You can see the polio legs he has. And we got them both married because they met each other in the home. And they happened to take care of the shelter in Kadalur, where there are 40 elders. And we, as I said, address needs of deserted women. So this lady is somebody who came to us with a little son. Husband is a drunkard, so she had to be supported. So you'll be surprised, uh, managing the shelter near Sri Perambuttur. It's got 50 elders. And I must tell you, one of the persons who supported us, Mr. Rajshek, is here. Thanks to his help, he made a beautiful dormitory. 50 of them are taken care of by her. And Deepa, somebody again physically challenged, who came to us for help. She she's in a wheelchair, and as you can see, she can't even crawl. She has to move on her hands and legs together. So it's a very pathetic sight, but she takes care of our cut shelter, which got 48 disabled people. Anandi, you can't make out, but she's physically challenged. She takes care of the entire HR and admin and all the government regulations. And Jabba and Daya are another couple Jabba, in fact, is a nurse, but she's had a very sad life. She coordinates the entire treatment for the 1,000 people, availability of medicines, a test, the hospitalization. Everything is taken care of by her. And the funeral is conducted by her husband, Daya. And they've done thousands of it. Purushottam is my assistant. He's physically challenged. He came to me on a tricycle asking for a job, and we didn't have any vacancy. And so I couldn't send him back. So I said, you can come for 100 rupees a day. He joined us about 10, 12 years back. And today, all the income and expenditure is handled by him. And the seat at the back is mine. So, and I'm not good at the computers. He's very good. So all the proposals for whatever it is, buildings or wheelchairs, he's the one who helps me make the proposal. And Ramesh is now a trustee. He is one of our first staff. He lives in a hut. He used to live in a hut, a leaking roof. We visited him, and he's rescued more than 100 people. So when one of our trustees resigned, we called him to be a trustee. And like all of us know, the things of this world don't need powerful things. We need only weak people, and God has been good to us. And we are now a family of more than 1,000 people in 10 locations. And like somebody said, we're looking for the day when we'll be in heaven singing praises to Him. Integrity is something that is something very close to our heart. We be very careful in what we do because we believe we are accountable to God and to men. We don't provide and give bribes. We don't, in fact, none of our government papers have got through bribes. So you know what happens when you don't bribe? You don't get it done, and there's a lot of harassment, threats, but with God's grace, we sustained it. Transparency, everything is open, and if you can walk into our office anytime, open the book, go to the dorms, check on whatever's going on. We're open 24/7. Consistency, we have not turned away a single person till date, except for the corona days when government brought in the regulations. And we try to make sure that every person is accommodated, even if it's not something that we do. And equality is again something we're very, very proud of. We sit with the elders, at least one meal we make sure we have with our residents because that's one area we are very, very, that's very important to us. And excellence, nothing much to speak of. 30 years, more than 10,000 admissions. We still feel we have not touched the tip of the iceberg. And we long to reach out to more people. And we don't have, we defy a lot of management teaching, like we don't have a corpus fund or annual budget, or we don't have a PR exercise. So we just depend on the Lord, and the Lord has been good. He's been providing all our needs. And So I was asking him a question about the value that you put on your lives. Everyone finds a value for themselves depending on the families they grew up in, or the education they got, or the wealth they inherited. But I want to tell you, friends, your true value and your true worth is nothing less than Jesus' life. Nothing less than Jesus' life. So I want to close with one story. I think I'm very close. I don't know if I can take 1 minute longer. It's a story about a physically challenged boy, Arul. He used to go to different homes to beg and make a living. So here's a gentleman who used to give him 10 rupees and then later made it 5 and then made it 2 rupees. So one day Arul mustered courage to ask him why his giving of the alms was reduced. And the gentleman told him, when I was single, I could give you 10 rupees. Later on, I got married. It had to become 5. And now I have a child, so I can only give you 2 rupees. So, friends, there's a world that's waiting as we try to build a beautiful future for ourselves, our own empires. There's a world that's still empty, longing for one meal, longing to rest like the lady in a concrete pipe. We have a responsibility. We live in such a beautiful country with all the democratic values, and it's our responsibility to take care of our fellow citizens. So wherever God has placed you, please include them in your celebration, in your festivals. Whatever you do, let life be complete with us sharing what we have. And I'm telling you, after so many years, I'm 64, we are such a happy person. I wouldn't trade this with all the challenges, the police issues, and the people, elders who run away from our home, and the fights. I wouldn't exchange this to be a king, like somebody said. So God bless, and I'd like to invite you to our shelter. You could volunteer with us. You please pray for us, and you can write to us and give us your feedback of once you visited us. And thank you so much. There's one song, I don't know if you have the time to play the song. The song is sung by the children of Manipur, where it's a place where there are 22-hour power cuts, and they live in extremely difficult conditions. They sent the song to me some time ago, and I when I'm broke and when I'm down, I listen to the song. It really peps me up. If you have the time, we can play that song.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul, Uncle. A round of applause for Uncle. And I'll request Pravesh and Rebecca to hand over the memento, and it rightly says the Good Samaritan. I get reminded when Paul says, "No, I was among you with weakness and trembling," and Uncle may appear like that, but look at the work that's done behind the scenes. And Auntie, what a pillar of support.